a key component to successful digital signage messages. And one, honestly, I think is sadly overlooked a lot is the call to action, the CTA. If you're not giving them something to do, then they're just going to walk on by, and in the rather data-rich world that we now inhabit, your stuff just becomes part of the background and part of the noise. So we're going to talk about some best practices for calls to action. Today I'm here with Ellyce Kelly, Client Relationship Manager for Visix. Hello, Ellyce.
Hello, Derek. How are you?
Marvelous.
Wonderful. Thank
you for talking to me today, Ellyce, and thank you, everybody out there, for listening. This is digital signage done right. Whether you're new to digital signage or a seasoned pro, this podcast gives you practical advice about systems, communications, and content to better engage your audience. I'm Derek DeWitt, Communications Specialist for Visix. Welcome to Digital Signage Done Right. All right, so we say a lot, calls to action are absolutely essential. Why?
Well, if you think about it, Derek, we're really already used to interacting with things like on our phone, even on your TV, right?
That's true. I have a Chromecast and I just shout at it.
Exactly.
It does things.
It does things. I don't know what does it clean your house? Because
No.
Okay, well I was going to say I need to get a Chromecast.
Yeah.
But it's already expected, right? So all of these devices that we use on a daily basis in our lives, those are affecting human behavior. And so we come to expect it, and it's going to get your audience more engaged. Otherwise, they're just looking at really a digital poster. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It gives you some kind of ROI. And by that, I mean a way to measure, hey, this was successful, this was not successful. How do we know? Because people took the call to action and we have a way to measure that.
Right. And if no one took that call to action, then nobody's looking at your signs.
Or your call to action stinks, which is why we're going to talk about how to make them better. So we're talking about a call to action. What is that? What kinds of ways can I get people to interact with the screen if they're not interactive screens?
So you're telling me to do something, right? You're telling me to sign up by a certain date. You're telling me to take a picture of the screen or go to this URL or to take this QR code and scan it so that I can, go get free coffee at the bookstore. Whatever it is, you're telling me to do something because of the message content that I am viewing on the screen.
I have to say I quite like QR codes because they're small, they're not extra text, which is nice, and I think people are comfortable with them now.
They are.
They can actually get incorporated into the design.
Very easy to make.
Provided you have, you got to make sure the contrast is really good for them. Right?
Absolutely, yes.
So there are lots of different ways to try and get people to take an action, and it's better, I think, if you can get them to do the action right then and there.
Right then and there, because when they walk away, that's it. You want them to do it right then. You want to make it easy. You got to make sure, of course, the timing's right. They've got enough time to do it. You don't have 100 messages in your playlist that they're like, oh, I'm not going to sit here and wait for that message to come up again. I got to get to class.
What was the URL they said? It was www.myschool.edu/what?
Exactly. That's another reason the QR code's a good one.
You deal with this stuff a lot.
Yes.
Because you basically, you are the relationship manager for clients. You help them really optimize their digital signage, so you must encounter this constantly. So what are some best practices for calls to action?
Sure. So one of the first things I would recommend is make sure the call to action is easy to see and read in the message. You don't want to bury it in a lot of other text and pictures and make it complicated, and they're walking by and going, is that a QR code? Well, what's it for? And then they're having to squint, and and then all of a sudden there's another message playing.
But the message is up for maybe 7 seconds.
Maybe 7 seconds.
Right, So like where's a good place to put it?
Well, you just want to make it stand out. Right?
Right.
So I can't really say top left, top right, bottom right, whatever, middle. It's not really that, You really, and you're going to have to play around with it a little bit too.
How can I make it stand out?
Well, you could use different colors. You could use different font sizes.
Different weights.
Yeah.
Meaning bold or something.
Yes, absolutely. A totally different font, as long as it follows your brand standards, of course, and you've got a variety to choose from. Color, bold.
Here's the blue thing.
Yes.
So make sure that it's easy to see and that it's one of the first things you see.
Yes.
Should be the first thing you see and the last thing you see.
Exactly.
In a perfect world.
And you got to do it quick.
Right. What else?
So this goes in line with what we just talked about. You want to be clear, concise, and specific.
Yeah, that's interesting. Specific is important, I think, because very often you get this we just kind of hope people show up to the town hall meeting.
Right.
That's awfully vague.
It is vague. When is it?
Yeah, right.
Where is it? Is it in the same place it always is?
Yeah. So you're saying be concise. I mean, how concise are we talking about here?
Well, you've heard of this 3x5 rule?
Sure.
Okay, so you've got your 3 lines of text and no more than 5 words.
Right, or 5 of 3.
Or 5, yes, you could also, yeah.
That's the message. So is the call to action in addition to that?
So really the call to action might be the message, right? I mean, with sprinkled in with kind of what we're calling to action, right? Why do we want you to do this? What's it related to? It's got to be short and sweet. A lot of times I will see content that was created for email or for intranet.
Yes.
Gets translated to digital signage, but it doesn't translate.
Right.
It's not a one-to-one thing.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of often think that digital signage messages are most akin to Twitter.
Yes.
You know, on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever the heck else you're using, you might be able to post a much longer thing. But on Twitter, you have a really, was 280 characters, I guess?
Yeah.
That's all you got.
Right.
So you have to really boil that message down to its basics.
You do.
And that's it. So the message needs to be concise. And so then the call to action needs to be even more concise.
It really does.
So we're talking about what, like a declarative verb? Do it.
Yes. So, yes. And in fact, verbs are something, and yes, we're going to get into that even a little deeper.
Oh,
but
marvelous.
Verbs
I like
are
verbs.
very important. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Okay.
Yep.
So what next?
And then you've got to write for an appropriate level for your audience.
So appropriate level meaning what? Like you're guessing their education level, grammar, vocabulary, or like what?
So you want to use, so there's certain words you want to use. I'm a big fan of, instead of have, for example, you would say acquire. If you're writing something, like a press release or something.
Yeah, this is what we call register. Yeah.
Yes. But acquire is not needed for your digital signage.
Characters.
Have is just fine.
Or if you really want to get to the meaning of acquire, get.
Yeah, or get. Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So you gotta pick different words. You're not trying to, win a Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah, exactly. You're not winning.
Right.
You're not winning some kind of text-based awards here. This is not literature.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's a visual medium.
It goes back to what I was saying about the translation. It does not translate from the intranet or email to digital signage. You've got to make it a lot shorter and sweeter.
Well, for many, many years, I've been an English teacher. English is a foreign language. And one of the ways that in the modern age we're using computers to analyze language, it used to be grammar-based. First, we start with these tenses and these grammatical forms, and we build up, and that determines if someone's beginning or intermediate or advanced. Yes. But there's another way of looking at it that I'm quite fond of, which is looking at word frequency. The more frequent a word, the more common it is, the more it's used, the more immediately useful it is, and that's your base. Those first 1,000 words in English are 90+% of everything we say.
Interesting.
Yeah, the average English speaker uses 5,000 different words in spoken conversation normally. Whereas, say, in German, the average German person uses somewhere around 12,000 words. Wow. We have more words. We have over 1 million words in English, but we use fewer of them on a day-to-day basis. We make those words work hard. But you don't want to be writing highfalutin stuff.
Again, yes, just keep it short and sweet so that people remember it and aren't trying to read through your big words.
Well, and sometimes I think your audiences sometimes they're not native English speakers.
That is absolutely true.
So they may know the word get because that's what they learned in their English classes, or just surviving in the world. They're hearing get far more. They're hearing the word acquire.
Absolutely. Plus, it's going to take longer to read those longer words.
Yeah, they take up more space. They're more visually cluttering. It's just you're not doing anybody any favors by trying to be fancy.
Exactly.
What next?
All right, so next we're going to prioritize verbs, then nouns, and then only use adjectives sparingly.
Verbs are more important than nouns. Adjectives, we don't need them. I guess that makes sense.
Verb is an action.
Right. Do it.
Do it. Exactly. Just do it.
Just do it. What do you think about this idea of using something else? Because you don't need to say delicious. So for example, there's a cafe on site. Yeah. Delicious coffee.
Right.
Do you really need to say it's delicious?
No. You just get some coffee.
Or, there's a way to communicate that it's delicious, and that's some fantastic high-quality picture.
A high-quality picture.
If I'm a coffee drinker and I see a nice picture with some steam coming off it and it's nice and black because I like my coffee black, I will automatically start thinking,
Because what do they say about pictures? They're worth 1,000 words.
Right. So that's certainly saving real estate space on your digital sign.
It is. Just don't use any clip art. No clip art. I don't think they make that anymore, thank goodness.
They do.
Oh, they do?
Poor people out there who use clip art. You guys have been slammed on so many of these podcasts.
Oh, dear.
It's kind of sad, but that's funny.
None of our customers are using that. I can tell you that right now.
Oh, good.
Or if they were, they just stopped.
Well, it's interesting, again, because I studied language and linguistics, verbs actually activate a different part of the brain than nouns.
I believe it.
The way that our brain categorizes nouns is one way. The way it categorizes verbs is in actually the motor cortex, which is what makes our hands move, our legs move, and so on. So the moment, say in English or any language, a person reads a verb, their body begins to prepare for action. Isn't that crazy? Whereas nouns are much more like in there with parts of the brain that are associated with faces and things like this. They're static.
Okay.
And then the adjectives are not needed.
The adjectives are just not needed at all. Again, digital signage, not writing books.
And the thing is, too, I think a lot of times people are coming at this maybe from a sort of a 20th century perspective of they're thinking, well, it's advertising. And in advertising, you do say the best coffee in town, delicious, hot, fresh, steaming, fresh roasted coffee. The thing is, I don't think it is an advertising medium. It's a communications medium.
It's a communication. You just hit the nail on the head.
And yet, you said verbs, so you should probably use imperative verb forms, command forms.
Yes.
Because they're shorter.
They're shorter.
Right. And we know now it activates that part of the brain,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying, though, don't use the adjectives. I mean, is there no way for me to make it sort of... Because, we always want to try and use vivid language.
Yes. So do this, right, is more direct and shorter than you can do this.
Yeah, and actually, you can do this doesn't have any useful information.
It really doesn't.
In this context.
Exactly. It's like, what is the information?
Right,
You just have to be so clear with digital signage, with messages, because again, your audience is not typically standing in front of that screen just waiting for you to just post these messages, right?
Oh, good. It's another
It's a new
installment
day.
of War and Peace on the digital sign in 7-second segments. Yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have a transient audience in most cases. Even if you have folks kind of milling around and hanging out and
but they're doing something
coffee,
else. They're
doing
else.
other stuff. So you really, really got to keep the call to action.
Boom.
Boom.
Because you've already made sure it's clear to see, and then just do it right. And I would also caution, don't use passive voice. Don't say it can be done. Say, do it.
Yep.
Or something
That's
like
great
that.
Advice.
Because it's distancing. That's the purpose of passive voice is distancing. And it also, it's longer.
Yes.
And it doesn't add any useful information.
Absolutely.
So when you write those digital signage CTAs, I guess, really you should just go through and then just slice every word you can and still keep the meaning. Slice and dice.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love it.
We're cutting back like a venture capitalist on an acquisition binge.
Oh, wow. That's great.
I've also read about trigger words. Would you know what these are? What is this about?
So here's some examples. So you, right, because talking to you, right?
One.
Free, that certainly gets my attention. Because instantly, and this is one of my favorites, new.
Yeah, this is why advertisers always will say something is new. And in fact, this is one of those funny truths. They did this with, I think it was Cheer or one of these laundry detergents. It was literally the same stuff. They just changed the packaging and said new and improved.
Yes.
And technically, what was new and improved was the packaging.
But
they didn't technically lie.
Right, no.
And they saw their sales balloon because they went, oh, new and improved. These are those kinds of words that I know in psychology, I think they call them System 1 words. Oh. These are ones that are very emotional. Yes. And they're very people have instantaneous reactions to them. New. Oh, I like.
Here's I got a few more because these are good. They get me every time, right? So easy. Everything should be easy.
Yeah.
Easy
sign in.
Easy
QR
sign
code.
in. Easy. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Easy QR code. Exactly. Save. Everybody loves to save time, and time is money. Right? Okay. Guarantee. That's a big one.
It's a bit of a long word, but
it's
yes.
It's a long word, but you do see it in advertising a lot. Now, sometimes, some folks might be a little scared of the word guarantee, but...
Well, often you see it with money back guarantee in advertising.
Exactly. Right. It depends on what it's being used with. Here's another one I love. Money. Right?
That's funny.
Well, I mean...
Money is...
Just
that's your call to action. Money!
Right. But I mean, wouldn't that get your attention if you saw that walking down the hall?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it would. Money.
Money, huh?
Oh, okay. What do I need to do?
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, QR code. I'm in. Right. Here's another one, which may not jump right out at you, but health.
As opposed to the euphemistic wellness,
Yes,
which also is a very broad category.
I have not seen wellness as much anymore. That seems to have come and gone. I do see health quite a bit, though.
Sure, okay.
Another one is discovery.
Well, and again, I think, like you said, with verbs, I mean, turn that into a verb whenever you can. Don't say have a discovery, say discover.
Discover.
It's shorter, it's clearer. Right. What do you think about, let's say, like you said, with the word money or something like that? A dollar sign, certainly in the U.S., it means the same thing. It probably, I wonder if it activates the same part of the brain. I don't know, but
a dollar sign is perfect.
Right. Save.
Yeah.
Dollar sign.
Save. Dollar sign.
QR code.
Win. Dollar sign.
Right. Yeah. People will know it. And again, it does the same job, but it's shorter.
It does.
Right.
1,000 words.
All right. What else you got?
Another thing we want to do is we want to make taking the action easy. We talked about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Don't make it a whole thing.
No.
Yeah.
It's got to be easy. It's got to be quick. The message is not static on the screen with the call to action in it. It's in rotation with other things that we're trying to convey to our audience, and we're trying to get them to do.
7 seconds, usually.
Yep, 7 seconds. Don't send them to a website that has this insanely long URL, like with the, I go to the student union.
Slash departments,
events,
slash legal, slash underscore, slash,
I used to see this trend quite a bit, but of course, again, our customers are not doing this because they've been listening to all of these awesome podcasts.
Because you have relationshiped them.
Well, it's probably a team effort, but they're doing a great job of using the Bitly URLs,
right?
Or using QR codes or the picture or some other if it's internal, go to the intranet or go to wherever to sign up for this or that, and so that's really, really helping because you don't have them for a very long period of time. You got to get them to take action while they're at the sign,
right? Because
when they walk away, they're on to the next thing.
Or it also needs to be something that they can remember easily.
Or that they can remember if they are going to do it later.
If you do use a URL shortener like Bitly or BitDo or whatever, it's actually worthwhile, I think, to create a vanity one.
Yes.
Because trying to remember bit.ly slash capital F X3Y small j. I'm never going to remember that.
No, you're never going to remember it. And you're probably not going to take a picture of that either and go type it in later because you still got to type in all that stuff.
I might, but if you're gonna get me to take a picture, why not then use that somehow?
Use that, Or give them, like you just said, give them something that's easy to remember.
Yeah.
Like
bit.ly slash whatever.
Coffee.
Free coffee.
Free. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dollar sign.
Dollar sign. Dollar sign coffee.
Yes.
Discovery.
Yes.
Right.
Or discover.
Discover.
Yes.
Why is it called that? Shut up.
I don't know.
Right. And I think, you get that kind of instant gratification thing. And I know that that's often said in a negative way. People go, everybody's just into instant gratification. But, I mean, we really are. And social media helps fuel this. Younger people, meaning younger than me, you'll see them all the time on their phone. And that's because they made a post. They put up a post of some sort or tweet or what have you. And they're waiting for those likes. And 10, 15 minutes go by and they haven't had a reaction or a like.
Yep.
They start to sweat.
Yep.
Where's my feedback?
I hate when that happens.
Because trying to imagine the 7-second sequence, right?
Yes.
I gotta be walking along. Oh, that's it. Oh, what is that? Oh, read the message. Oh, and do this. Oh, okay. Boom! I just did it. Oh, cool. Now I have this information as I'm on my way to my desk.
Yep. Something else we want to do is we want to focus on the benefits to the audience and just common needs.
Okay. Meaning?
Well, put yourself in the audience's shoes.
Okay.
Right?
So what are they getting out of it?
Yeah, exactly. What benefits me? Why is it good for me to do what you're asking me to do?
I mean, it sounds a little mercenary, but it's kind of true. Whereas we as an organization ask you to do something, here's the benefit to you. Yeah. Instead of, it helps the organization. I don't care.
Right. I mean, so we might care, but we probably also, it's our time, right? So it could be students, employees, government employees. It just depends on what it is, but you're not going to have the same type of audience morale everywhere.
Right.
So you really do have to get the audience engaged, and what's the benefit to them?
And sometimes it could be just because then you'll know something that you didn't know before.
Exactly.
Knowledge. We like knowledge.
Knowledge is great.
Yeah. Because you want them to take that action now. How do you create a sense of urgency? How do you get them to go like, oh, I got to do it now?
There's some effective ways to do this, right? So we can do something, an immediate action, enticing people, dangling in from it's today only. It's for the next hour only.
Oh, like a sale.
Like a sale almost.
What do they have? They still do them? The blue light specials
listen,
in
the
Kmart
blue light special.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I love
Those of you
this.
that don't know what this is, look it up. It's pretty crazy.
Definitely look it up. So I remember I'm rolling with this. I like this.
Yeah, remember
so
these?
when I was a child, I remember being with my grandmother at the Kmart in Warner Robins, Georgia. And when that blue light went on and that thing was blue and you could see it and there's a big announcement, all this stuff happens. Do that with your digital signage.
Wow.
Can you imagine if you have some cool animation that has maybe blue lights? Doesn't have to be blue, but something.
It could be whatever. It could be an all blue message or a blue character.
It could be. And if you have animation, if you're using animation anyway, I mean, that's just another element to get their attention. And think about it if you have audio on some of your players and you want to get people's attention. Now, audio doesn't work for everyone. It depends on where the display is and all that good stuff. But that could be incorporated. In fact, I have worked with customers who have tried a little audio sprinkled in with their messages and their call to actions to get people to respond. And there was some success with that, with what I have.
Really? So they actually saw an uptick in responses?
Uptick, yes. Because, and again, it's you have to be very, very careful where you're playing the audio, right? Depends on.
And you're also not having audio on every message, so it stands out.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, you don't want to have it on every one. But if you had something that, hey, this is a limited time or today only, very similar to the blue light special, let's sprinkle it in and try it.
You could use it to try and drive traffic to something, again, let's just say like an on-site cafe. You find out that, gosh, it turns out that between 2 and 4, it's dead in there. People aren't going. So what can you do to entice people to go in there? I don't know, whatever, have a 2-for-1. Because, those croissants you cooked or those cakes you made, like they're going to dry out. You're not going to be able to use them tomorrow.
Exactly.
So why not give them 2-for-1, throw that up on the signs, maybe just an audio clip, cake.
Well, I'm in. Did you hear that?
Did that sign just say cake to me?
Did that sign say cake?
Yeah, right.
I have a break in between classes.
I mean, think
Wonderful.
about that. You didn't even need to say a call to action. I know there's a cafe on site, so it just goes, cake, half off, 2 to 4, today only. I might turn right around and head back to that cafe.
The cake audio is your call to action.
That's your call to action.
It literally called you to action.
Right. I mean, like you said, what do I get out of it? And very often it's abstract. You get knowledge, or you get to sign up for the package, or you get more training, and all. And that's all great. That's all wonderful. What about this idea of almost gamifying it and making it something a little more tangible?
So something like the previously mentioned, small discount, that's a very powerful motivator, right? And get people to take a call to action. But it could be something else, like maybe a coupon or reward points. So gamified content, or it's something later that they can use later. Loyalty cards, almost like the reward points. Then you can use a loyalty card later.
Well, I know. So I've read about some companies that even have little online stores, and when they gamify things or what have you, they give away points. Whatever, call them whatever. If they were Visix, I guess we call them the eyeballs or whatever.
Yes.
Because the Visix eye, or the pupils, or whatever you want to call them. So hey, if you want to have a $10 Starbucks card, that costs 50 pupils.
Right.
If you want to have this or that, or an extra day, an extra hour off, have a long lunch, that costs this many. So people can accumulate points over time.
Exactly.
There's an online store of some sort where you can actually just kind of, quote unquote, buy what you want.
Buy what you want. Yep. This would work great if you think about it like at a bookstore.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Similar to what you would go if you go to Which or something like that, where you get
I just saw that place. It's those loyalty cards.
Have you not eaten at Which?
No, I haven't eaten.
Oh, right.
It's a sandwich place for those not in Atlanta. It's almost like I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine kind of a thing.
Yes. So another thing you would want to do is think about cross promotion possibilities.
Okay.
Digital signage obviously is one part, comprehensive communications, right? It's your comprehensive communication system.
Sure.
But you've got things that are mentioned in meetings or on the intranet. Those can be reinforced. You hear something in the town hall.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Reinforce it in your digital signage.
Right. I talked about 10 things in the town hall, but I really want people to walk out with these 3 things mainly.
Yes.
Throw those up on the digital signs.
Put those 3 things up on the digital signs.
Make sure that they got in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who knows? Somebody was zoning out.
Could be zoning out. I mean, a town hall might last, 30 minutes. It might last 20. It might last an hour.
I think it's sometimes a good idea to kind of do everything across everywhere. You
Yes.
know, like, hey, we're going to put this up on our Facebook page,
Yep.
and we're going to put a version of that up on our LinkedIn page. We're going to do a shorter version on Twitter. Then we can take that shorter version, make it even shorter, stick it on the digital signs, and it all kind of hits
Yes.
right around the same. So it's almost like blanket coverage.
Exactly, and you're making sure you hit everybody. Some folks' jobs, for example, or if you're a teacher and you're, a professor, you're not going to be able to get out into the hallway very often. You might be really confined to a classroom or to an office, depending
Right.
on, if you're technical support so you do want to hit every medium. The only time you don't want to do that is what we talked about earlier, is when you're trying to specifically measure whether or not
But the digital signage is
the digital
being
signage
effective,
is
and
being
then
effective.
then
Yes.
only do the digital. Same thing. By the way, if you want to see how effective is your Facebook,
Right.
then put something only on Facebook
Yes.
that has some kind of an enticing reward, and
Right.
see if anybody bites. And if not, you can
Exactly.
go. Facebook.
Right.
But you do it on Twitter, and suddenly you get a bunch of bites. You think,
Right.
oh, we seem to have a very active audience on
Exactly.
Twitter, not so active on Facebook.
Exactly. The last thing that I would recommend here would be to build some way to measure the return on involvement, right? For your call to actions.
So what do you mean, like if it's a QR code, is a special landing
Yep.
page, you can track
Exactly.
how many
Gotta be able to
how
track
many
it.
people came from the digital signage QR code only.
Exactly.
And so if I'm doing, like we just said, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing that blanket thing, if I'm also doing on LinkedIn this, are you recommending I should do different QR codes for each one with a different landing
Absolutely.
page?
Yes.
So that I can directly go, LinkedIn did
Yep.
this,
Twitter did this, Intranet did this.
digital signs
Digital
did this.
Yep. Go to a different place for you to store that information, so
Right.
that you can track it.
Quite a few ideas there. I think what was it, 12?
I believe it was 12.
12?
12 ideas.
A nice
Derek.
even dozen ideas on how to make your calls to action fantastic and effective, and not just because, it's a good idea and we say so. There's actually quite tangible benefits to that.
I would agree.
All right, marvelous. Thank you for talking to me, Ellyce.
Thank you, Derek. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Nice to see you. And we'd like to thank all of you for listening. Hey, want more free stuff? Then head to the resources section of Visix.com for free masterclass guides, blogs, videos, and more to help you with your digital signs. Please share, subscribe, and leave a review of this episode, and connect with us on social media.